Hi everybody, this is Molly from Elevated Mind and Movement. And today in our Yoga for Mental Health series, we're going to go over some commonly used props that you might see in your local yoga studio or that you may even have at home. So to get started, first of all, I'm sitting on a mat. Mats come in a lot of different sizes. There are round mats, there are rectangular mats. Some of them are soft and kind of fuzzy feeling. Some of them are sticky. The most basic mat that you're gonna find in a yoga studio, if you borrow one at the studio, will be a sticky mat. So they're usually kind of spongy. They'll have sort of a sticky surface, and they just help you in the poses so that your feet and your arms aren't sliding all over the place. They kind of stick there and keep you in place. There are different mats for different types of yoga. If you are doing something like restorative or yin, sometimes a yoga blanket mat or a yoga rug is more comfortable. Sometimes a thicker mat is nice. If you're doing hot yoga or you're just a sweater, having a towel on your yoga mat can be helpful. Or having a specific yoga mat that's made for those activities where you won't slide if you sweat on the mat. So, mat, easiest yoga prop probably to find. Next, we will move to the yoga blankets. Very frequently, you will see a yoga blanket in a studio that looks a lot like this. Yoga blankets are great for adding padding to your poses. So if you're going to be doing something that's on your knees and you've kind of got bony knees, having a blanket to put your knees on can be very supportive. Blankets can also be used for propping us up in positions, creating soft areas to lay on. So having a yoga blanket is often very helpful. Yoga blocks. Now I've got two examples of yoga blocks here. We have foam blocks. These are light. They're kind of squishy. It's basically made out of foam. It's high density foam, but it's foam. These are fabulous for if you've never used a block before, because they're pretty easy to use. These are great for if you are working with alignment because they're very light. You can move them around pretty easily. If you have to sit on a block to prop yourself up, foam blocks, definitely more comfortable for that. The other kind of block, and a cat, that's Loki. The other kind of block is a cork block. Now, these are heavier, much more dense. They don't have a ton of give to them. But these are great for if you're putting a lot of weight onto the block. So for me, I notice that during certain poses, if I'm putting a lot of weight on the block, a foam block maybe is a little too squishy for me, and I start to feel like maybe I'm not as stable in the pose as I could be. That's where these come in. These are great. Because they're heavy, they're gonna slip around less. When in doubt, start with a foam block. I didn't even realize these existed until about 15 years into my yoga journey. And then I was like, ooh. So for many years, foam blocks are just, that's where it was at for me. I still use both. I just use them for different purposes. Next, we have the yoga strap. The yoga strap is great for helping us adapt poses that maybe would otherwise be difficult for us to have proper alignment in. So my legs are longer than my arms. So a lot of times if I want to do something where I'm holding the leg, my arm's not quite long enough for that. So I can then use a strap, which lengthens my arm. So straps are great for helping us reach for our legs, for our arms behind our back, for having proper alignment in poses. So that's what a strap is used for. Now we get to my personal favorites, the bolsters. So we're gonna scoot all this out of the way. So, most common bolster you're gonna find is one of these rectangular bolsters. Depending on what your studio has, they can be made out of a lot of different things. Sometimes they're made out of like memory foam type material. Sometimes they're filled with just regular like pillow fluff. Mine is filled with buckwheat, so mine's a little heavier. But these are really nice for helping prop us up in postures, to give us something to sit on. They're really nice and restorative to lay on. So this is one shape of bolster that you will commonly find. Now, there is a smaller version of this. This is often referred to as a pranayama bolster. These are great for sitting on. They are often used for pranayama, which is a breath practice. Sometimes like to lay on this for chest openers, great underneath the shoulders for supported back bends. So definitely can be used for a lot of different things. Sometimes it's about size and whatever you're more comfortable with. Loki's sneaking in. No, he's scared. All right. Then we have this lovely roundish, flattish bolster. This is called a Zaku. You cannot see Loki probably, but he is lurking right in the corner and he's thinking about pawing the camera. So if suddenly the picture goes flying, we're gonna blame that on the cat. So a Zaku is used for sitting on during a meditation practice to help boost you up so that you have a more comfortable seat. It can also be used a lot like a regular bolster, just if you want a different size or shape. Sometimes in Shavasana at the end of a class, I like to put my feet on this or put this underneath my knees, just because it's a little bit smaller than a big one and I'm kind of short. So those are the bolsters, lots of options for bolsters. A couple other things that you might find in a yoga studio. One is a sandbag. Sandbags can be very nice for helping us ease into a pose. Or my personal preference for sandbags is to lay them on me during Shavasana to get a sense of grounding. Sometimes the extra weight can just help kind of calm down the nervous system. So that's a use for a sandbag. Another option is the eye pillow. Eye pillows are fabulous during yoga nidra or restorative, when you are just wanting something that's a little grounding. So it adds just a teeny little bit of weight, like a sandbag does, but for the eyes, to help block out any light that might be in the studio or in the space. So if it's a place that has big windows, they may not be able to darken the room or have control over how light the room is. I like mine at home for when I need to just bring my nervous system down, calm, relax, fall asleep, but maybe other people in the house have lights on. So I would say right now in the time of COVID, it might be helpful if you want to use an eye pillow to get your own rather than using somebody else's, just because, hey, germs and stuff. So yeah, you can even make these. You can use a sock, actually. Before I got this one, I grabbed an extra sock that I couldn't find the other pair for and filled it with some rice and some nice smelling herbs. Tied the end, instant eye pillow. So these are the props that you will likely see being used in various different yoga practices, or when you go into a yoga studio. These are probably the props that you're going to see over on a shelf or on a wall available for your use. So it's very helpful if the teacher says grab any props that you might want to look around and see what the other people in the class have picked. There's Loki's tail. Oh, there's his face. Or take a look at what the teacher has set up. When in doubt, just grab some of your favorites. No matter what kind of practice it is, I always grab a Zaku or a Bolster to sit on, and I always have blocks. So the more you practice yoga, the more you will get to know which cat you need, what your favorite props are. So feel free to try out any props in your local studio, or if you are at a store that sells these things, pick them up, give them a squish, see how they feel, and see what you think. And as we go through this series, I will show you some various different uses for these props. All right, that's all for today, guys. Have a good day, and I will see you again on your mat very soon. Thanks.